What's good, everybody? It is Ron. Come back at you another video. So this video is going to be about explaining this concept, this idea of real freedom, and I want to break down what real freedom is and what real freedom looks like. And this video is so powerful because this was essentially one of the main ideas that I learned throughout my personal development journey. And what made it so powerful was that I was able to clearly see the disconnect between how I was living versus how I should be operating. And I'm sure that you as a viewer, you'll be able to see the difference for yourself. So because of that, right, I was able to see how much more progress I can make, how much more growth in all areas that I can make, because to be able to reach real freedom will obviously be a major difference maker in your life, in the quality of your life, in the levels of the happiness that you experience, etc., etc. And so what I have here is effectively 3 sentences explaining what real freedom is. So first and foremost, I'm going to read all 3 sentences, and then I'll break down each and every sentence to help crystallize this idea, right? So it says, real freedom is when external circumstances have no effect on your inner state of peace, joy, and bliss. Real freedom is when other people or outside conditions have no effect on your natural inner state of contentment, fulfillment, and satisfaction. Real freedom is when things that happen to you have no effect on your natural inner state of unconditional love and total appreciation. So you got a taste for what real freedom is. Now, we'll jump into the first one. Real freedom is when external circumstances have no effect on your natural inner state of peace, joy, and bliss, right? He says when external circumstances have no effect on your natural inner state of peace, joy, and bliss. First thing that jumps out to me is when he says your natural inner state of peace, joy, and bliss. This means your natural inner state. This means that this is supposed to be your default setting. If you ever noticed some people out there, that is not their default setting, right? And the reason for that is because for a lot of folks, unfortunately, they've been programmed and conditioned by their environment, by the people around them, to operate otherwise, right? To operate from a negative perspective, to have a pessimistic view of their situation or the world, and to have, just negative energy. There's other, right, in this post as well, it says when external circumstances have no effect, right? And then we're talking about external circumstances, we are talking about your situation, right? The conditions that exist around you. Because what you need to remember, obviously, your external circumstances are everything that's happening outside of you. Whereas your natural inner state, that is everything that's happening within you. You may not be able to control everything that happens outside of you, but the one thing you can control is everything that happens within you, right? Because that is your body, right? There are a lot of folks out there, and of course, including myself, because I'm human too, right? That we were conditioned, from birth to whatever age, we were conditioned to react rather than respond, right? When something happens, you immediately have to give effectively your opinion on whether something that happened was either good or bad, rather than either being able to step back and just have no reaction whatsoever, or being able to respond to a situation in a positive manner, right? Most people are not trained to look at each situation optimistically and say, you know what, these things that happen in my life, that they're good things, and I may not know why right now, but they're gonna be good. Most people don't think that way. Most people don't operate that way. They were conditioned by their environment, by the people around them, to operate a certain way, right? Just imagine how powerful you would be if your outside circumstances had no effect on how you felt on the inside. That if you felt your natural state of peace, happiness, and joy, then you would be smiling, you would be feeling good, you would be feeling your best. and then regardless of what happens outside of you, regardless of your circumstances, you maintain that, then think about it. You would effectively be living out your life purpose, right? Because we were put here on this earth, on this planet, to experience outrageous joy. That is it, right? We're not here to accomplish anything. We're not, right? Like, these things can add on to our happiness, but those are not the reasons why we were put here on earth. We were put here on earth to enjoy this life experience. So if you are feeling good all the time and that's your natural state, and you know it's your natural state because you feel good when you feel peace, joy, and bliss, right? You feel your best. So you've known that innately, that that is your natural state. So just imagine how much better your life would be if you were in your natural state more often, or if your natural state was your default setting, right? You can look at all the people around you, whether it's friends, family, strangers, right? Most people are not operating in their natural state. And you can do that independently from your external circumstances, from the events that happen in your life or things like that, right? It is possible. Most people do not operate that like in that fashion. Most people allow their external circumstances to affect and influence how they feel on the inside, which then that means the events that happen, the things that happen in your life will have control over you rather than you having control over it. You're seeing how there can be a major disconnect between how you should be operating versus how you probably have been operating, right? So there's a lot of room for improvement and growth for you watching this video, and for me as well, right? The next sentence here says, real freedom is when other people or outside conditions have no effect on your natural inner state of contentment, fulfillment, and satisfaction, right? When he says real freedom is when other people and outside conditions have no effect, think about how much of an effect other people have on how you feel, right? There's some people that they can be insulted by another person and that would immediately ruin their day. Like, that would take them out of their positive energy, their positive state, and it'll make them feel bad. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, Joel, if someone insults you, why wouldn't you get mad? Like, it's normal for people to get mad. It was explained to me in a different fashion that, like, you begin to think about it completely differently, right? So sure, the normal way that humans would react, right? If someone insults them, they'll react with negativity or they'll react with negative energy, right? Very logical thing to do. However, if you were to think about it logically, you would remember that first and foremost, what other people think about you is none of your business, right? That's one. Two, you can't control what other people think, right? Because they have their own mind, they have free will, right? Like, you can't control what other people think, and you also can't really control what other people say, right? People are gonna say what they want to say, and remember, if someone insults you, you don't have to accept it. One, you don't have to accept it. You can just simply reject it. And two, more importantly, if someone insults you, all that is just a reflection of them. And the reason for that is because if someone insults you, then remember, they're the ones that had the thought in their head, that negative thought, that negative idea in their head. And then they're the ones that decided to verbalize it and say it. So that thought, that idea, the thing that they said, the insult, that came from them. And if they're willing to insult other people, then that means that they're willing to insult them. If they're willing to see flaws in other people, then that means they constantly see flaws in themselves. That's how it all works, right? So someone can insult you and you can simply reject it and you can laugh at them. You can still smile. You don't have to stoop to their level. And if they're dishing out negativity, that you have to decide to be negative too, right? You can still smile. You can still ignore it. You can still look at them with a confused face, because all that is a reflection of them, right? See, people have gotten too comfortable. If, let's say, someone gets mad at someone else, they'll insult them and then they'll try to curse them or wish illness or have ill will towards someone else, right? Wish bad things. And it's like, If you wish bad things to someone else, then you're effectively wishing bad things onto yourself, because you're the one that's thinking the thoughts of negativity and ill will, right? And even if you're, and the fact that you're saying it is not only you're thinking about it, you're also saying it, and you're saying it with conviction. So you're feeling the negativity, you're feeling the bad energy that comes with that, and you're saying it, right? The other person doesn't have to feel that negativity. The other person doesn't have to, right? Like, you can just shrug your shoulders and keep smiling and keep walking. You don't have to give it any attention, right? And when you think about it that way, isn't that a much better way of living and a much better way of operating? Because then it's almost like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. It's almost like you begin walking through life feeling more invincible, feeling like you're wearing an impenetrable armor, because regardless of what someone says, it doesn't have to be your reality. It doesn't have to be your truth. You can reject what other people say, right? If someone, let's just say you were 6'5" and someone were to call you short, you would probably laugh, because you know and you believe that you're not short because you're 6'5", right? And you're in the top 1% in height in the world, right? You would think it's silly for someone to call you short, right? You can have that same mentality for any other insult that someone says about you, right? You can just laugh it off. You can shrug it off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to affect you. Someone can say something really bad and try to spite you, and you can laugh, because you know that all it is just them wishing bad things on themselves, because they had the negative thought and idea in their mind and they said it, which means they're speaking it into existence, and they said it with the negativity and the conviction. So they're feeling the negative effects of wishing that bad thing. And then if you're just smiling, you're just feeling good and minding your business, that you don't really care, right? Then it's not going to take any effect on you, right? You're just going to be feeling your best. You're going to be, once again, in your natural state. And remember, if we were put here to experience outrageous joy, if that is our purpose in life, then you are living out your purpose moment to moment. You're living out your purpose more often. And don't you think that's what's going to lead to a more fulfilling life, if you're happy more of the time, right? In a world where most people are grumpy, right? This is what I mean. And when we're talking about outside conditions, right? A lot of people let outside things affect them, right? A lot of people, like, pay attention, and this is going to be a gem that I'm giving you guys right now. Pay attention to how you are feeling about certain things, right? Pay attention to how you feel when you are browsing social media, right? Because a lot of people, for a lot of folks, they use social media as a highlight reel, right? And so you can be scrolling through, and it can appear that everyone is winning, that everyone is living a perfect life, and your life may be far from it. And so you might begin feeling bad, because you're comparing yourself with other people and your progress. You might not believe that you're moving at the pace that everyone else is, when God's timing is God's timing is a real thing, that you're moving at the pace that you're supposed to be moving, that you're exactly where you need to be, right? But social media will have you believe that you're not. Pay attention to how you feel doing other things, right? Watching the news. The reason why the news typically has negative stories is because negativity is what sells. Negativity is what gets people to gossip. It's what gets people to talk about, right? All the news outlets want to share the newest, big, most juicy, explosive stories. They want to share the stories that are going to scare people and put fear in their hearts and have them have a pessimistic view on the world, right? Its purpose is to strip you of your real freedom. That's why I don't pay any attention to it, because there's no need to. A lot of people want to watch it because they want to stay informed with the world and to know what's going on, but most people are not even informed of what's going on in their world, right? Of what's going on and what's happening in their life. Like, people feel as though they need to keep tabs on what's happening in countries that are like 4,000 miles gone on the other side of the globe, that they just need to know what's going on, when they know very little about what's happening in their life, or they know very little about themselves as a person. It's kind of strange, right? So when, in this post, when they talk about real freedom, this is about maintaining that internal state of happiness, because that is you effectively living out your life purpose. And the more you can maintain that regardless of other people, other circumstances, like everything outside of you, that is how you begin to live a fulfilling life. And that is how you will also attract the things that you want to have in your life. Because if you're vibrating positivity and good energy, and then the good is going to make its way back to you, right? Last sentence here. Real freedom is when things that happen to you have no effect on your natural state of unconditional love and total appreciation, right? Unconditional love and total appreciation. Unconditional love is when you love everything without needing a reason to, right? Where you just appreciative of it all. This is you stepping outside to go for a walk and appreciating the trees and the flowers and appreciating all the other people walking their dogs and appreciating the weather and just appreciating being able to breathe, being alive, appreciating that you had a good night's rest last night, that you have a comfortable bed to sleep on, that you have, you know, running water that you can drink or shower with, that you have food to eat, that your body feels healthy, that you are filled with love, that, you know, that you have so much to offer to this world. These, like unconditional love and total appreciation, this is part of your natural state. You just want to get as close as possible to feeling the feelings of love and happiness and joy and peace and bliss. And the more you get to that point, the more you are actually living your life's purpose, the more you are successful, because that is the only measure of success, someone's happiness. So you focus on this. This is how you create a successful life for yourself, because that is when life is fun. This is when life is enjoyable, when things happen and you're still smiling, right? And if you can get to this point, and of course, right, real freedom, it's, I don't think, like, I'm sure it's very possible for someone to achieve like absolute real freedom, right? But it'll probably be in ways, right? There's probably some moments in life where you're probably experiencing real freedom, and there's other moments where probably not so much, because we're humans, right? We obviously have feelings, we have emotion. There're going to be certain things that might trigger us, right? And this is a learning process, because many of us have been conditioned to react rather than respond. So this is almost like learning this concept and trying to apply this. It's almost like having to completely reprogram your entire way of living, your entire way of operating, and reprogramming the way you think. And for people watching the video, this can be, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of being programmed to operate a certain way, right? So this may not happen overnight, and that's okay. But what's most important is having this front and center, being aware of this, being aware that the goal for you all the time, moment to moment, is to feel good, is to feel as good as you can, and to continue feeling better. Because the better you feel, this is how you get closer to your natural inner state. And if you are able to maintain that natural inner state independent of all external variables and circumstances or whatever, this is true success, right? Because you're living out your life purpose. This is how you create the most enjoyable, meaningful, exciting life, right? Just imagine anything happened to you, anything under the sun can happen to you, and you respond with a smile, and you just start laughing, right? And for other people, they can be like, "Oh, well, why are you laughing? Because this is a bad thing." You can be laughing because you know that somehow, some way, this event is gonna work out for you, or that somehow, some way is a good thing, and regardless that the event does not have to affect you any way, shape, or form, right? It doesn't have to. So just imagine how powerful and invincible you would feel if, regardless of what happened in your life, you simply responded with a smile on your face, right? I'm sure this is the point that everyone would like to be at, because then life is truly an adventure and it's truly a thrill, right? When you can just smile and smile and smile and just not worry about anything, because you know everything's gonna be taken care of, and as long as you're feeling good, everything's gonna be fine. That is a stark difference and a major disconnect between how an ideal person should be operating versus how the masses are operating, versus how the majority of people are operating. So if you're able to operate this way, you are going to be living a completely different life, a much better, enjoyable, more fulfilling life than everyone else, than all the masses that are just zombies, that they're just reacting to everything. And if they're always just reacting and their emotions are all over the place, then they don't know what they're vibrating. Then they're not in their natural. Remember, this is your natural inner state, and that means they don't know the energy that they're vibrating. They don't know their natural inner state. I mean, they know it, but like they're not in their natural inner state at all or often. And then these are the people that allow the external circumstances to dictate their life. This is why people feel as though they're victims to the outside world. This is why people say they can't control their emotions, even though they can, right? People will make every single excuse under the sun to justify it when this is your goal. Real freedom is your goal, because as the name suggests, real freedom, this is what will ultimately set you free. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe as we're on the road to a million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.